Imagine the headlines. Philippines sitting on a $26 trillion oil and gas jackpot. The number is staggering, promising a future free from poverty, with world-class infrastructure and a seat among global economic powers. This figure, from a 2013 U.S. Energy Information Administration study, estimates the total potential hydrocarbon reserves in the South China Sea. The Philippines, with its claims in the West Philippine Sea, is said to hold a significant share of this untapped treasure. For a nation that imports nearly all its oil, the idea of energy independence is revolutionary. Every time tensions rise in the West Philippine Sea, the $26 trillion figure resurfaces, fueling hope and political debate. But the journey from a geological estimate to actual oil production is fraught with immense challenges. Headlines rarely mention the complexities, dangers, and powerful forces standing in the way. The gap between promise and reality is the central paradox of the Philippines' energy story. It's not just about geology, but geopolitics, economics, and the struggle for national self-determination. The $26 trillion question is not just about what lies beneath the sea, but what lies ahead for the nation. The dream is vivid, but remains stubbornly out of reach. The real story is about whether this promise can ever be fulfilled. There's a big difference between what might be there and what you can actually extract. The $26 trillion figure is based on speculative, undiscovered resources, an educated guess, not a confirmed inventory. Proven reserves are what matter: oil and gas confirmed by drilling and testing, assets you can bank on. For the Philippines, the gap between speculation and proven reserves is vast. The country's actual proven oil reserves are tiny, barely enough for a few days of national demand. Turning speculation into proven reserves requires billions in risky investment for exploratory drilling, with no guarantee of success. Many wells turn out dry. Only after successful discoveries and further testing can resources be classified as proven. This is a high-risk, high-reward game that few companies will play without legal and political stability. The headlines sell a lottery ticket, not a guaranteed payout. The hard work of converting that ticket into cash hasn't been done, and may never be. This is why the Philippines remains an energy importer, despite the theoretical wealth offshore. The first hurdle is technical. Most potential oil and gas lies in deep water, requiring advanced technology the Philippines lacks. Only global energy giants have the expertise and billions needed for such projects. Attracting this investment demands political and fiscal stability, which is often lacking. But the biggest obstacle is political. The most promising areas, like Reed Bank, are fiercely contested by China. Any attempt to drill is met with Chinese intimidation, creating extreme geopolitical risk. No company will invest billions where their work could be blocked or spark conflict. The government can award contracts, but can't guarantee security. Technical, financial, and political barriers form a wall that keeps the nation's potential wealth locked away. The Philippines has the legal right to its resources, but not the power to extract or defend them. The $26 trillion dream remains buried beneath the waves, trapped by geopolitics. For most Filipinos, talk of trillions in oil wealth feels like a distant fantasy. In Manila, a jeepney driver worries about rising diesel prices, not energy policy. In Palawan, fishermen face dwindling catches and foreign vessels, not oil booms. The sea is a source of food, not a strategic asset. Young Filipinos dream of careers at home, but many leave for work abroad, sending remittances that keep the economy afloat. Oil wealth could, in theory, create jobs and opportunity, but remains out of reach. The gap between the dream and daily reality is a source of deep frustration. The promise of riches only highlights what's missing in everyday life. The Malampaya gas field is a rare success. Discovered in the 1990s, it's powered up to 30% of Luzon's electricity and generated billions in revenue. Malampaya worked because it was in undisputed waters, with stable partnerships and world-class expertise. But its reserves are running out, and the search for a replacement is urgent. The logical successor is Reed Bank, believed to hold even greater reserves. But Reed Bank lies in contested waters, and in 2011, Chinese patrols forced Philippine survey vessels to withdraw. Since then, exploration has been frozen by geopolitical tension. The government can't guarantee security, so companies stay away. Reed Bank is the ultimate prize, but locked in a geopolitical cage. Malampaya proved what's possible. Reed Bank shows what's blocked. The nation's energy future hangs in the balance. The next chapter remains unwritten. China's sweeping 9-line claim covers nearly the entire South China Sea, overlapping the Philippines' legal exclusive economic zone. China enforces this claim with a powerful navy, massive Coast Guard ships, and a maritime militia that swarms contested areas. Any attempt by the Philippines to explore for oil or gas is met with overwhelming Chinese presence and intimidation. The risk of confrontation and loss is too high for any energy company to proceed. China's strategy is to make it too risky for anyone else to operate, effectively imposing a veto on Philippine resource development. Manila can issue permits, but Chinese power dictates what happens on the water. The 9-line turns a domestic economic issue into a high-stakes international standoff. The wealth may be there, but it's guarded by a dragon. Until this challenge is addressed, the oil and gas remain a stranded dream. Geopolitics, not geology, is the real barrier. In 2013, the Philippines challenged China's claims at The Hague, winning a landmark 2016 ruling. The court declared China's 9-line had no legal basis and affirmed Philippine rights in its EEZ. For a moment, it seemed the path was clear for exploration. But China rejected the ruling and ignored the verdict. The tribunal has no enforcement power. International law relies on voluntary compliance. The Duterte administration downplayed the victory, seeking closer ties with Beijing. Later administrations asserted the ruling, but Chinese harassment only intensified. The legal win gave the Philippines the moral high ground, but not control of its waters. The victory remains on paper, with little change on the ground. The promise of justice is real, but so are the limits of law. Even if the barriers vanished, a new danger looms: the resource curse. Countries with sudden oil wealth often suffer corruption, inequality, and economic instability. History is full of cautionary tales: Venezuela, Nigeria, Angola, where oil riches fueled graft and stagnation. For the Philippines, with its history of corruption, the risk is acute. Without transparency and strong institutions, oil money could enrich a few and widen inequality. Preparing for wealth means building good governance before the oil flows. Models like Norway's Sovereign Wealth Fund offer a blueprint. The real challenge is not just winning resources, but managing them wisely. The fear, winning the geopolitical battle, but losing to corruption at home. The Philippines isn't standing still. It's strengthening alliances, especially with the US, to deter aggression and secure its waters. It's also building ties with Japan, Australia, and European nations, creating a network to counterbalance China. Domestically, reforms aim to make the energy sector more attractive and transparent, including talk of a sovereign wealth fund. The goal to be ready if oil and gas ever flow and avoid the resource curse. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. Should it keep pushing for fossil fuel exploration, risking conflict, or pivot to renewables and sidestep the geopolitical trap? Perhaps the answer is a balanced approach. Pursue renewables while cautiously developing natural gas as a transition fuel. The choices made now will define the country's economic and environmental destiny. The promise of buried wealth is real, but so are the risks. The future depends on wise decisions, not just what lies beneath the sea.